Hey, it's me, Sentient Dessert. Hope you're all doing well. Oh, last little bit hasn't been the best. It was announced last night that Kentaro Miura, the author of Berserk, passed away. It was an um, aortic dissection, which I looked up. It's not a fun thing, but I just felt the need to talk a little bit about it because it's I'm a writer. I'm a creator. I try to do artwork, and I first learned about Berserk a long time ago. I was at an anime club at the School of Mines, and one of the guys was talking about, yeah, there's this really cool manga out there. It's for mature audiences. It starts out with the protagonist torturing a demon to death, and being the edgy type of kid that I was like, hey, that sounds really cool. Didn't really get a chance to read it or see it until the anime came out. So I watched the anime and subsequently got a hold of the manga because the manga goes far beyond where the anime is. And the world, it's sort of a pseudo-European setting, definitely steeped in a lot of the medieval um, medieval European histories. Definitely not the same, but it's funny. It came out in 1989, and he had written a short um, one shot that was the precursor to it. And the one shot, I don't believe, had demons. It was just sort of a lone warrior just saving a little kid, and a lot or a bit from that made it into the full story. But he was 23 when the first volume of Berserk was published. 1989. And even at such a young age, he had tremendous skill as an artist. I mean, going back and looking at the original stories for series, it's still beautiful now. His skill got better through the years, but it still retained that realism that so many other mangaka since have tried to emulate. One that stands out is Claymore. Different art style, but has the same like depth of realism of the characters. But the world lost one of the best storytellers of this age. And I'm really going to miss the guy. You know, you don't have to know someone for them to have an impact on your life. He created a world that, you know, the world in Berserk is one of the darkest I've ever come across in a lot of my reading. And no matter how dark it was, there was still some glimmer of hope. And it wasn't the like cheesy, oh, you've got to have hope type of injection that a lot of them have. It's there's a tenacity in the characters. There's just it was a world where the characters gave you the hope. Even in the even in the darkest moments. And to anyone that is familiar with Berserk, yeah, there are some really, really dark moments in the series. But you see the character growth, and you have Guts who goes from, you know, this fun loving kid that is really good with a great sword to one of the best mercenaries to a man who is plagued, doesn't know rest. And despite it all, he still has a hope for something better, even if part of it is tied to his revenge. I mean, there are few there are few instances that I have come across of the selfless love that Guts shows for the woman that he loves. There's just so much. It's funny that a lot of the stuff that I know about the guy, the author Miura, it's mostly through his work or through, you know, the back before you could purchase the manga, there were groups that would scan it, translate it, and say, you know, you're going to have to go and, you know, buy it when it comes out. Scanlation groups. And, you know, I remember the hiatuses. And, you know, I would joke about, you know, oh, there's going to be another 8-month hiatus because a brand new Idolmaster game dropped. And, you know, it's a joke, but at the same time, there's the understanding that, you know, if somebody is going to be creating a story that is as dark and just intense as Berserk was. I mean, there are sometimes you go 10 chapters and nothing good happens. It's a string of not necessarily cliffhanger, but progressing, just artwork. Very little dialogue. And more gets said in those than many of the others that's like completely dialogue. But when you are playing something that, or when you are writing something that is that dark, you do need the bright spots. So I understand why, you know, taking time out to play something to improve your mood, to, you know, get yourself back into a place where you are able to work again. Berserk is one of the few series that I've gone back and reread what I have had multiple times. It has had an immense effect on my world building. I tend to like the dark gothic type stuff, and what he did for dark fantasy, I would say Tolkien did for fantasy. He was just that influential. I mean, if you're a gamer, if you've ever played Dark Souls, if you know about Dark Souls, that game would not have. That game was heavily influenced by Berserk. And that's just one of the many, many things that his work has influenced. His artwork. Just take some time, go out and look for his artwork. I'm sure there's going to be an influx of it all over the internet right now. When I was looking last night, I could not find half the stuff that I have seen before. But with all the tributes, all the memorials, I have a feeling that things are going to become more visible. And it's just my opinion here, but I do consider him probably one of the top 5 artists of the last 100 years. And that's taking into account everything that he's done. It wasn't just Berserk. Even though that was what he will be remembered for. My friends have been talking about in Final Fantasy XIV, a lot of the Dark Knight storyline was inspired by his work. And the Dark Knight, I mean, the Dark Knight armor design is definitely inspired by the Berserker armor. But there have been memorials across servers, people paying their respects to a man who touched more people than I think he realizes, or possibly realized. I kind of feel like dark fantasy would not exist in its current state without him. And things like The Witcher, Dark Souls, wouldn't exist without his influence. And been on the verge of tears ever since for about the past 12, 12 hours or so. No, through 24. When I learned about it, it was I'm a writer. I enjoy it, but sometimes the words just don't come. And I'm gonna miss his influence and what could have been. But I'm also going to celebrate what he has done. And I'm probably gonna reread all I can of Berserk over the next week or so. The man he was a great inspiration for me. And I hope that if you have the time, that you will at least seek out his artwork. Berserk, I know, is not for everyone. It is a very dark and sometimes disturbing series, but it is worth it. It is extremely worth it to read it. It's kind of funny when I first got into my head to start making movies. Um, it felt right that that was the direction to take myself, and my decisions since then have always added upon that end goal. And one of the things that I have wanted to do is a live action treatment of at least the first arc. Because the anime was great. The more recent ones, not so much on the animation level, but the story is still there. But I do not feel that there are many people out there that would give the attention to the original material, especially when you look at how so many manga have been butchered when they've been turned into movies. And I'm not looking to make a movie. I would want to make a series. Because you can't. Berserk is not. It's not a movie. It's an epic. So that is still going to remain one of my goals. Is to work on an attempt to adapt it. I find it really funny that OBS is saying it's using too much processing power when I'm just talking, just talking. But I'm sad that he's gone, and I'm gonna be spending the next few weeks probably in mourning. As I was saying earlier, you don't have to know someone to have them influence your life. There's a depth to the characters that he made that few people can. Without them speaking, they felt alive, which is an incredibly rare skill to have. He's with his ancestors now, and I hope he's happy of what he was able to accomplish while he was here. Because I can definitely say that there are millions of us that are happy that he touched our lives. Y'all have a wonderful night. I love you. If you've got loved ones, let them know that you love them. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I will see you again soon.